Hey everyone, so I'm going to do some more examples of these solving for x and then finding the measure of the unknown angle. Okay, so to do these, the first thing we should probably do is identify what kind of angles these are. So if you realize, or if you see these two, there's two lines here, right? And they're intersecting lines. And then the information that we have about the two angles, we know this top angle here, which is MON, and then the bottom angle here, which is POQ. We know those are vertical angles because the angles are formed by two intersecting lines, and the angles are across from each other. And it's helpful to be able to identify that they're vertical angles because we know vertical angles are congruent. And because they're congruent, that means the measure of the top angle equals the measure of the bottom angle. Okay, so we can write an equation, set the two angle measures equal to each other, and then solve for x. So we need to isolate x, get x by itself. So we use the inverse operations. The inverse of -4 would be +4. Again, you need to think, what do I need to do to get rid of that -4? Well, you do the opposite of that, which is +4. -4 plus 4 is 0. You're left with 7x on the left-hand side. You bring down the equal sign, and then 87 plus 4 is 91. Right, and then you have 7 times x. So the opposite of times by 7 would be divided by 7. So we divide both sides by 7, and when you do that, you get x equals 13. Okay, and that's the missing value of x. And then the second part of this, it says find the measure of NOQ. Okay, so it's helpful if we can identify where the angle is, NOQ. And to identify it, it's easy. You're just going to trace the letters. N is here, O is here, and then Q is here. Okay, that angle is this opening. And it's closed off by this ray and this ray. Okay? And then, again, it's helpful if we can identify what kind of ray, or I'm sorry, what kind of angles we have, like the relationship the angles have to each other, because then we'll know, okay, they're equal, or they add up to 90, or they add up to 180, right? Something similar to that. So if I cover up part of the diagram, I'm left with these two angles. Angle NOQ, the angle I'm looking to find the measure, and then the angle POQ, which equals 87. Now you should recognize both of these as being linear. How are they linear? Well, this ray of the angle and this ray of the angle form a line, or they're opposite rays. But I just like to think linear angles make a line. Here's a line, okay? And that's important because, again, linear angles add up to 180. Or I've also talked about how if we move from here to here, it's half a rotation, and half a rotation equals 180. Okay, so to figure out my missing value in here, I'm going to do 180 minus 87. So if I do 180 minus 87, I get 93 degrees. And that's the number, or that's the measure that's missing there. Because 87 plus 93 is equal to 180. Okay? So we started off with vertical angles, and then we ended up with the linear pair. And really this whole page is like that. So let me move on to another example. If you need time to copy this, pause it now. But if we look at this example, see we have this line and this line that cross, which forms really four angles. But this angle and this angle are across from each other. So I know they're congruent. They're congruent because they're vertical angles, which means their angle measures are equal. So I can take the top angle and set it equal to the bottom angle. And that's an easier equation to solve than the top one I just did. Here you have x minus 5 equals 95. Well, we just need to add 5 to both sides to get x by itself. That goes away. X equals 100. So I figured out what x, the unknown value of x. And then it says find the angle of BOD. Well, again, to figure out where BOD is, we just need to trace the letters. Here's B, there's O, here's D. So we're looking for this angle measure in here. Okay. Again, I'm gonna cover up part of my diagram because I don't need it to view the whole diagram. I need to realize, hey, these two angles here form a linear pair. Right? From here all the way to here is half a rotation. And half a rotation equals 180 degrees. Okay, so I know to find the missing value, I need to take 180 and minus the one we know, which is 95. And we do that. When we do that, we get 85 degrees. So I know this angle measure is 85 degrees. This inside in here is 85. Because 95 plus 85 equals the 180. The 180 degrees. Okay, and again, it's for many reasons. One, because it's a linear pair, and linear pair angles, the sum equals 180. Two, you could think of, like, if we had an angle that went from here to here, that would be half a rotation. Okay, and half a rotation is 180 degrees. So there's this example. I'll do one more and then I think I'll be good, and hopefully you'll be better understanding this. So again, we have two lines here and they intersect. I like to think that the form of x, right? All of these, this looks something like an x, this looks like an x. And as long as the angles are across from each other, they're congruent. They're congruent because they're vertical angles. And because they're congruent, we know they have equal measures. And because they have equal measures, we can write an equation. Okay? And then the part is, well, let's do some algebra to solve this. Okay, I want to get x by itself. So that means I need to get rid of the 14 first. So I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. Because 14, take away 14 is 0. And then 134 minus 14, I believe is 120. Divide both sides by 6. Then you have x equals 20. So that is our value of x. And then to find the measure of GOF, let's find out where GOF is first. Here's G, there's O, here's F. Okay, that's this inside angle here, this bottom angle, if you will. So again, I'm going to cover up part of my diagram. Because again, when you cover up part of your diagram, you should think back to the examples we solved a week or two ago, where the equations were like this, right? And then we said something where like these two added up to 180. Well, that pretty much looks like this example, only it's upside down, right? You have a straight line, and then you have a ray coming off of it. Same thing here. We have a straight line, and then we have a ray coming off of it, and the ray is breaking it up into two pieces or two angles. So again, like before, like the other examples, these two added up together equal 180. So to figure out the missing angle, I need to do 180 minus 34. Let me do it up here. 180 minus 134. And then we get 46 degrees. And that is the angle measure that goes in here. Okay. And just a real quick reminder, angles are measured in degrees, so I did put the little degree symbol on this number. And X is not referring to an angle, but more of a numerical value, so that's why this doesn't have a degree on it. Hopefully that helps. And I'm done.